Flight boss, bitch. You know, for sure. You're not listening to the mind of an Terry's Moon. I am the Royal Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And this video right here is going to be about how to make an esoteric window, aka seeing outside of yourself. Now, for the most part, we all do this, but we don't have a clear perspective of what we're actually doing. So for the most part, we end up doing some dumb miscellaneous shit in the esoteric realm, and then we end up having blood on our hands in the third dimensional realm and some attribute, aka you manifesting a circumstance or situation in your life that didn't go in your favor, but it also was in a situation where it was out of your hands. You see what I'm saying? So keep that in mind also. But here's the thing. When we start to talk about an esoteric window, now esoteric window, here's the thing. You stay within a space because that's your spirit. So your spirit in default is internal. So this is your internal being. This is your internal, I don't want to say self yet because you haven't created a mentality. So just you being a spirit, your space, by default, you're internal. You see what I'm saying? So when you're swarming around within your space, your parameter being a spirit, right? You're being unaware of things because you're just at peace. But once you start to become aware of something, right? Now you're starting to square out that circle, because that circle, your parameter, your space, your spirit, it's kind of like your monad if you want to get lost into Jewish mysticism and things of that nature and Kabbalah and shit. But other than that, you need to understand it is a circumstance where it's your circumstance and it's your parameter. You know what I'm saying? Now, for the most part, this is your internal energies. So when you start to become aware of a circumstance that you're in by being a being, being a space, you start to square out that circumstance, and that circumstance become what we call a situation. So now you can start to see what you are situated in as far as that circle, that spiral, that circumstance. So you're standing in a circle, but for the most part, what comes out of that? Situations, things that sit in that circle. So these are things that you get ready to bring from the external realm into your internal world that you're going to have to deal with internally, aka mentally and emotionally, with those spaceships. So for the most part, here's the thing. Once you start to become aware of a certain circumstance, you start to piece it out. And when you square that circle out, that's what we're utilizing as the term situation. So when you start to observe your situation, you're now looking outside of yourself, and you're looking at the pieces and other parties that's participating in whatever made you aware of that actual area of your parameter, of your space, of your spirit. You want to get lost in Jewish mysticism, then make you think it's the bottom half of your spirit, top half of your spirit. I done told you, monkey asses, is distance and closeness. So the more closer, the more internal. The more distant, the more external. So you have external energies that's very close to you. You see what I'm saying? To the point that it's so close to your spirit, you could confuse your spirit for these things. And this is what we call our selves or higher selves and things of that nature. Because it's our lightest bodies that's less dense. So it's not heavy enough to weigh it. So we have to chalk this up into being thoughts and feelings. But if you can get rid of a thought and a feeling, and a lot of these things may be hard to do at times, getting rid of feelings especially. But like I said, if you can get rid of these things, who was the observer getting rid of these things? If these things are considered to be your soul, if you're lost into Jewish mysticism, which your soul is just your individual spirit, your solo spirit, which is your space. So, you see what I'm saying? Then it take you into deep thought and help you consider what's yours and what's not. What's toxic waste and what's not. What you need to get rid of and what you don't, and what you need to hold on to, because it can springboard you into a greater realm of reality within your life. So you can see things from a better perspective. Perspective, key word, taking us right back into this window. Now, once you make an esoteric window, that's you observing a circumstance. Now, your ability to observe that circumstance is going to be how sufficient your window is. A lot of y'all got cracked windows. A lot of y'all go buy cheap windows that all we got to do is have a severe thunderstorm, and that shit ain't shit. Shit gonna be rattling the whole house just from that one cheap ass window. So go get you some good esoteric window seals if you are gonna be participating in what the fuck I'm talking about. You're gonna have to go to Esoteric Lowe's, Esoteric Home Depot, and you know what I'm saying, build you a sufficient, get you a high price window, aka third dimensionally speaking, whatever you're creatively into or whatever that you're paying attention to, make sure you're doing it from a spiritual perspective, a broad perspective, not a single-minded, small-minded perspective. And therefore, People that you're around who are single-minded, small-minded, or choose to look at everything negative in some way, shape, or form, or make things more than what they actually are, and we don't necessarily have to build as much animosity and things of that nature. That's far as a motherfucker, a person who went and got a cheap ass window. So it's shaky. It rattled they whole esoteric house. So third dimensionally speaking, these be individuals that manifest certain situations for you that make you feel like you have to walk on eggshells around these individuals based upon their insecurities in this new age of everyone not being genuine and everyone being mental robots, to the point that love have to be considered in how much you pay attention to me and how many of my shit you liked and shit like that, and thing other than this genuine connection in some way, shape, or form. So that's kind of out the window during the 24th. That's why I kick this spiritual shit so much. You see what I'm saying? Where fakeness have to go out the window, but if that's going to be the remaining energy here, we got to make sure there's still some realness that remain, because realness is starting to look very fake right now, and it's starting to look like it's used for things and agendas, and starting to be perceived as certain other circumstances, to the point that it almost make you feel guilty for just being real and expressing your individuality, due to the fact of all the magic squares out here today, to the point that as you express so much of your individuality, it may have something to do with the medical or politics or sports or some shit like that. And then now you're looked at in a negative light just based upon you trying to be an individual. So it gets crazy going on nowadays. But like I said, when you're around a small-minded individual, right, these are individuals you may have to walk around eggshells or be very careful what you say around them or to them, due to the fact of it's so quick and fast for them to take offense. So this is a person who built a whole bunch of insecurities based upon nonchalant and weak ass scenarios in their life that really isn't as serious as other people and things of that nature. So you have to keep that in mind also, where a person gravitate towards because everybody gonna gravitate towards an extreme moment in their life, but due to the fact of certain small-minded people, they can be dealing with small issues, and that small issue is very large and impactful in their life in some way, shape, or form. So you will be around this individual like you don't even have nothing to worry about, and you don't even have no reason to be in those type of emotions and thought forms and things of that nature, because there's motherfuckers out here who really going through it. You see what I'm saying? With other things on their mind. But other than that, you see what I'm saying? That's not to say, oh, because God did this. Okay, all of us as spirits have to take spiritual individuality, and this is what it means by being real. You see what I'm saying? And being genuine. So, getting into the circumstance where you're creating a window, you could create a window for an opportunity, or you could create a window you got cheap windows, like I just explained, or you could get some windows with some blinds and things of that nature. So your curtains and shit, instead of you being able to always see the outside of a circumstance or situation, you always got rose-colored glasses on, aka you got another thought or feeling before you jump into that experience, and this would be the representation of, an esoteric window with curtains and things of that nature, right? So in the esoteric realm, it's not always good to have curtains, because this could blind you from the actual event that you're seeing being externalized ahead of you. So at the same time, here's the thing, right? When you're going to build when you're going to buy a high-priced window, right? This is you being gun-ho on how you like to see the scenario. So this is you being able to separate yourself, not be lost in your own desire, in your own space, and being able to see all four corners or all sides of your own circumstance. And then when you look through it from all the sides of how you see yourself, and now when you look through that window, now you're able to see outside the circumstance. So you're able to actually put yourself in someone else's shoes without you coming up with your own selfish thought and desire on what you prejudged and interpret, and then you think you put yourself in someone else's shoes, but with all that rose-colored glasses again. You see what I'm saying? That's another version of you buying a window, but you didn't buy some motherfucking curtains that didn't blind your ass. But at the same time, like I said, just buying a sufficient window, you ain't got to worry about people peeking in, because you ain't got no curtains, because it's already tinted. You got like a tinted, good, high-price, esoteric currency window. You know what I'm saying? So can't nobody see your bullshit, but you can see all they bullshit and things of that nature. So when people try to see you, it's all dark. They don't know what's going on because you're not sweating When you see them, you're seeing even if they choose not to sweat, you can see where the sweat getting ready to be derived, even if it don't get played out when you're in their presence. And for the most, mentally, emotionally, or physically. And when you're looking outside of a scenario after you already made the window, you got to make the window. The window take 4 corners. That's you seeing the 4 sides squaring out your own circle. So when you going through a situation, you observing your circumstance, that help you understand how that situation got manifested. How the things that's sitting in that circle that you're standing in as a spirit got manifested. So that becomes your situation in your circumstance. So once you start to observe it, you can start to see how that situation got manifested. That's you creating your own window. You seeing the 4 sides of things. So therefore, when you're getting ready to look outside the window, you're not carrying no baggage like the victim role, or you're not carrying no baggage. And even if you are the victim, you're able to look at that and justify it as far as the percentage level of it. And it's still no hard feelings in some way, shape, or form. But everyone is not going to no one is going to get away with anything. So whoever was at fault also don't think that they're going to get away with that. But also, like I said, right? Once you see out the window, now you're able to do what you just did when you squared out your own circle amongst others who have involved themselves into the situation that made you feel like you had to be aware of it, right? Positive or negative. And this is you being able to view outside of your space, being able to view outside of yourself and come up with a respectable decision, come up with a respectable or sufficient enough judgment where even if you are wrong, you won't be looked at as a person that's an asshole, or you won't be looked at as a person that just think they know it all and you got proved wrong or something. It'll be justified in some magnitude, you know what I'm saying? And it'll be genuine and it'll be pure. And any wrongdoings or mistakes that you do have, people will be able to take up your slack or make an excuse for you, and due to the fact of not wanting to put so much esoteric energy on your spiritual shoulders to make you feel heavy or guilty about what you have just done. You know what I'm saying? So you will actually have other spirits and bodies, or the event will play out in a way that will actually take course, where you, at the end of the circumstance, you still won't feel like you have to take all the burden, even if you did do something wrong or you got victimized in some way, shape, or form. You see what I'm saying? But at the same time, when you're able to clearly create an esoteric window, this is letting you know. Now, you might think in the third dimension, this is stupid. This is why I'm doing this, that, and the third. But don't you know you building a house? Don't you know you building a temple? And that shit ain't easy. Same way you can have this on your mind, and a lot of y'all don't even like to utilize this energy for you can get into things of, you can make windows and make houses and buildings and things of that nature. Someone already laid that platform and down. So you're looking at this like, oh, that's hard. I'd rather pay somebody to do that. So for the most part, you guys are kind of leaving your mental body vacant and kind of doing the same thing, where your mental body is your spaceship, your house, your temple. And you kind of are like leaving it vacant and allowing other people to come clean it for you and things of that nature. And you rather pay housekeeping and things of that nature to correlate your mentality. And third dimensionally speaking, that's like you paying tithes. So that's like you being into an indoctrination, or that's like you being lost in your insecurities. That's like you being in a circumstance where it's almost like, well, I know I'm meant for something greater, or I know life could be this way, but I'm going to go ahead and continue doing this, that, and the third, because for the most part, that's how it needs to be seen. So you see what I'm saying? This like that's third dimensionally speaking of you letting some other thought form control your life down here without you fully expressing how you think and feel about things in some magnitude. So that's like you just paying for housekeeping and you're letting someone else clean up your house. So you're using other things in your name because these things could kind of clear your name. For an example, let's say you in some type of business, right? And you at home, you know you're for something greater, right? So we're going to remix that into this example. And as a business person, we know at home you're a genuine person. You don't really like to be conniving. Yet when you're in the business field, right, you're cutthroat and backstabbing, right? So here's the thing. Let's say you go back into the business field and you shut somebody else's business down, right? And it becomes cutthroat. You're not thinking too much about it and things of that nature because here's the thing. You're in the business field. But back at home, you're not that kind of person. You see what I'm saying? So based upon the magic square in the business, you're not even going to look at it as like it got anything to do with you being a genuine person, knowing that the business you just shut down, they probably got mouths to feed and car notes and house payments and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? So for the most part, you're not even conveying those two. So if a person was to come up to you and be like, yeah, I know you get all this praise for shutting down somebody's business, so all their customers is coming to your place now, but do you ever think about these people may have had family and things of that nature, or mouths to feed? And here's what you get ready to say: hey, it's just business. So now you have utilized the business as an attribute to think for you. That's like the motherfucker paying the esoteric housekeeper to clean your house for you. So you know deep down inside, if you truly a genuine person, but you don't want to act that out in reality, you don't want to practice what you preach, like religious people who celebrate their birthday and holidays, right? Since you don't want to practice what you preach, you paid for a housekeeper, aka you blamed it on business, aka you blamed it on Jesus, aka you blamed it on this shit that's going on in the world right now, aka you blamed it on you know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So all this something, you know something, but you so scared to express that you're going to use something that's already commonly known, because people could look at that and already see what it do. AKA, esoterically speaking, people already know what housekeeping do. They clean up. So for the most part, this is like you fucking up your house and having someone else clean it up in some attribute. So you see what I'm saying? AKA someone else's mentality and feelings about things, and you're utilizing that virtue and principle so you cannot be seen as something that you actually are. You actually not a good person by actually stopping somebody else from putting food on their table and things of that nature. But since you're in some type of Jewish mysticism, language and words that they put meanings and reasonings behind that you can't even uphold, you're able to use that as a spell to put someone else in to convince them that you might be an actual good person behind closed doors, and we need to separate that from business in some way, shape, or form. And you see what I'm saying? And it gets down to that surface level when you want to have clairvoyance and understand how to actually make an esoteric window. So I just basically did it live for you. That's basically looking at a circumstance, right? And then I just created a scenario, aka made a situation out of it, and then I just showed you a representation of what kind of space you would be in if you made a sufficient window and you're able to look at the actual circumstance the right way. But like I said, right, that's how you make an esoteric window. Being able to square out your circle, seeing all four sides of how you may have participated in that space, then being able to take that same attribute and energy and then externalize that outward. And then now you're looking out that window you just actually made in some way, shape, or form. And you had to go get the pieces from the Esoteric Lowe's or Esoteric Home Depot, which I broke that down also. And I love y'all from the motherfucking bottom of my heart. Flight boss, bitch, you know, for sure. And this way, you won't ever be able to put yourself into a situation where you take offense. Everybody gonna feel something a little bit, but you won't take offense anytime you go through forms of you know what I'm saying, letdowns, missed opportunities, misunderstandings, disappointments. You know what I'm saying? You will be able to look at these things like, okay, this is what I need to see outside of myself. You know what I'm saying? And this is what's going on the road and the streets right now, aka astrologically speaking, when you're looking outside of your window in the esoteric realm. And I love y'all from the bottom of my heart.